Right now, the seditious conspiracy trial of Oath Keepers founder Stewart Rhodes is going on. It started yesterday with the opening arguments. And during those arguments, well, the DOJ played some riveting sound for the jury. The Oath Keepers founder, well, he was recorded days after the Capitol attack saying on audio, "My only regret is that they should have brought rifles." And he added that they could have fixed it right then and there if they had weapons with them at the Capitol. Here he is. That's right. Now, alongside Rhodes were members Jessica Watkins, Thomas Caldwell, Kenneth Harrelson, and Kelly Meggs. They're also on trial for seditious conspiracy. These are the most significant and grave charges so far where we've seen a trial, and especially one of sedition. Now, the DOJ alleges that Rhodes and the members of his group, well, that they plotted to oppose the peaceful transfer of power, really stockpiling guns outside of DC that could be brought into the city at a moment's notice. And this is what we have. So Rhodes' lawyers have noted that he followed DC's strict gun laws, which they say is an indication that he would have only acted upon an order from then President Donald Trump. But the audio recording and other evidence prosecutors presented Monday suggests that Rhodes planned to disrupt certification of the presidential election regardless of what Trump said. Rhodes' defense attorneys are using a novel legal defense strategy, arguing that he believed his actions leading up to January 6th were legal because he believed Trump would invoke the Insurrection Act. Yeah, I don't necessarily know how that works, as in I'm waiting for the president to do something, so I figure that what I'm doing in preparation for it and what I plan to execute, even though it's illegal now, it could be legal later. Yeah, I don't think that that's a really strong argument, but I will leave it to the litigators there, including Assistant US Attorney Jeffrey Nestler. And he said that Rhodes' reference to the Insurrection Act were nothing more than an attempt to give legal cover for something that Rhodes, a Yale-educated attorney, mind you, knew was illegal. His proof, a recording of Rhodes saying the Insurrection Act references were legal cover, which Nestler also played for the jury. That's right, the man is a Yale-educated attorney, and he's also caught on a recording saying that they're going to use this as cover. He knows exactly what he's doing. Well, so this trial is expected to further really highlight the ties between the Trump associates and the Oath Keepers. This also per NBC News. Another Oath Keeper who pleaded guilty to seditious conspiracy told the court that Rhodes spoke with a Trump intermediary on the night of January 6th and asked to speak directly to Trump while imploring the person to tell President Trump to call upon groups like the Oath Keepers to forcibly oppose a transfer of power. Yeah, all of these little right-wing militia groups are just utter nonsense. And it really seems to be coming out of the gates with this opening statement, playing the recordings of Rhodes, also emphasizing the fact that he is a Yale-educated attorney, so he knows what he's doing. That sounds like it's a pretty powerful case for sedition. What do you think, Ben?
No doubt is it. And it doesn't matter if they brought the rifles into the city or not. Maybe that can affect sentencing to some degree. You still tried to stop the certification of an election. This is what happens when you allow a leader, let alone the president of the United States, to poison the minds of millions of people with outright lies. When you have a president that for the first time says in a press conference, no, I do not promise a peaceful transfer of power, which is, by the way, a fact that I think is completely underreported and underfocused on in the Jan 6 committee, in the impeachment trial. They don't focus on the fact that they focus so much on the word, oh, we should fight like hell on Jan 6. Well, he says, oh, that was metaphorical. It wasn't calling for violence. Well, you directly called for violence when you said if you lose the election, you will not promise a peaceful transfer of power. That's the biggest piece of evidence on Trump in my mind. And the argument to say, oh, if we were planning that Trump might have invoked the Insurrection Act, so we were waiting and committing crimes anyway. It's the most absurd reasoning you could ever muster. It's literally like saying, oh, I committed murder in hopes that they change murder laws one day that makes murder okay. It's completely backwards logic, as you'd expect from Oath Keepers or anybody that supports Donald Trump, a man obviously of very malintent and low intelligence. So that's what you get when you elect people like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And also having these minions, including Rhodes, who is highly educated, to back his play, to engage in this. And it would be incredibly, incredibly disturbing if there is jury nullification here and he's not convicted. Because it seems even so far with the opening statement, even though those are not evidence, it seems like there is plenty of evidence to get a conviction for seditious conspiracy. But one thing we also definitely know is that the US Attorney's Office is really riding on this one, because there are several other January 6th insurrectionists who are waiting trial on a seditious conspiracy charge. And so in the event that this one does not work out, it could mean significant changes for how the US attorneys approach convicting, getting a conviction for some of these insurrectionists. There is a lot going on.